If we were to go back in time, right back to the days that Jesus walked the earth, there is an occasion where the Lord was speaking to a large crowd. And then the Bible says in Luke chapter 8, verse 41, "And behold, there came a man named Jairus, and he was a ruler of the synagogue. And he fell down at Jesus' feet and begged him to come to his house. For he had an only daughter about 12 years of age, and she was dying. But as he went, the multitudes thronged him." And if we stop there for just a second, so here is Jesus with that distressed father, a father concerned about his little girl, and they are going to the man's house, perhaps hurrying since the girl was dying. Imagine the tussles with his disciples trying to make way through the crowd and all of the people around them. And in that crowd, there is a lady. I believe she was on her own because the Bible mentions nobody else with her. Now, this lady, no one knows her name, no one knows how she got there, and no one notices her. But she's on a mission. She has a problem that she's been dealing with, an issue that needs to be addressed. The Bible describes the woman as having a flow of blood for 12 years, and she had spent all of her livelihood on physicians and could not be healed by any. So she had tried the best medical minds within her reach. In fact, the Bible says she'd spent all her savings on doctors. None of them had been able to cure her, and now the bleeding is worse than ever. This was a woman who was not only suffering, but also desperate. And let me tell you something about crowds. Whenever you find a crowd, there are people there with different agendas. Just because you're in the same place, that doesn't mean you're of the same accord. It doesn't mean that you're unified simply because you're in a crowd together. Some people were in that crowd following Jesus because they wanted to be associated with the man who can perform miracles. Others were in that crowd to watch because they were skeptical about Jesus. Other people may have just been curious to see and hear from this Jesus that they heard can heal the sick, raise the dead, and give sight to the blind. But this woman was in that crowd for her own reason. She was in that crowd because she needed access to someone, to a power that could do what every other doctor had failed to do. So now she is pushing through the crowd. She is working her way forward. She is saying to herself, "If I can only touch his garment." And as soon as she touched him, the bleeding stopped. And when Jesus turned, he asked, "Who touched me?" He knew this touch was different from everyone else's in the crowd. This